Here we go. Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Tina Welsum from the Key Publishing House. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. I'm so excited today to be joined by another one of our authors from The Transformation Within, Words of Wisdom from a collection of coaches to help you win at the game of life. And today I'm joined by Joey Ruffalo, financial coach, who's going to help talk to you about how to win at your financial game. So, hi, Joey. Welcome.
Hi, Tina. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so good to have you here. So tell us, I've been kind of starting everybody off with the softball,
Okay.
what does transformation mean to you, either personally or in your financial coaching realm, or both?
All right. Let me grab my
You got the
my
ball?
bat here and
You
wind up here.
want a wiffle ball? A wiffle ball would be good.
Oh, if you could throw me a softball, you're like
Okay.
nice and easy there. Transformation. There's, I think there's two kinds of transformation. There's partial and then there's full, right?
Mm,
So you could change one thing that you're doing, and you have like a partial transformation. So maybe like for me, it would be stop chewing on my nails, grow those out a little bit. So that transforms me from a nail biter to a non-nail biter. It makes a change in my life. It might be a subtle change, but it's a positive change.
mhm.
And then you think about a full transformation, and you think about the caterpillar and the butterfly, right? Completely changing who you are, metamorphosis from your previous existence to a new existence,
Right.
leaving that old one behind and starting anew. So those are my
That's
transformation
that's your
definitions.
transformation story.
Everybody falls somewhere in between there.
No, it's true. And, it's interesting. I think somebody recently said that transformation kind of starts the minute you make the decision to change. And I think that's kind of like you're saying, that continuum. So, like, if it's that I don't want to bite my nails, or
Yeah.
I want to be better at my finances, right? And for me, I always think about it in terms, I don't know, everything to me comes back to like your core emotions. So like I desire to, have
Mhm.
a healthy, abundant financial, picture or whatever. And then it's also like relationships. So like, what is my relationship to money? So I choose
Mhm.
to have a better relationship to my money, the money coming in, the money going out, things like that. But I think, and then it's interesting, you hear some people who say, well, the minute you make the change, you are in the process of transformation. And so I think that's an important thing to bring up, and for people to understand that there's a decision, and there's a moment you take like full personal accountability for it. And it is a process to know that that process takes time, and different amounts of
Sure.
time for people, till they get to be a non-nail biter or a butterfly, and the transformation is complete and they own that, and it's just unconscious and competent and just part of who they are, and they don't have to think about it anymore.
Exactly. I use the tagline in my business, things change when things change.
Yeah,
And it's it's short, it's sweet, it's powerful. And it's if you decide to change things, then you'll change things. If you
it's
don't,
true.
you won't.
And I've heard people even go bigger on that. Like, the more you change, the more things change too, right? So like, you can start with
Mhm.
that one little success, and then you can say, "Oh, I had that one mastery experience where I realized I can make a change, a small change, and then it can grow to the next change or subsequent ones or bigger ones, whichever way you want to grow things."
Exactly.
It's that evolution. I guess that was the term I heard recently. It's evolutionary, not sequential, or not necessarily bigger, but the expansion might be like a change in quality, or it might be I want to keep making, say, this much money, and I don't need more money, but I want to make that same amount of money but do less, so I can enjoy my time or my family or travel or whatever it is differently. So
For
getting
sure.
that clarity. Yeah. So can you share with us what type of coach you are, and kind of who you tend to work with, or what your philosophy is?
Yeah. So I like to think of myself as like a broad-based financial coach, right?
Mhm.
So my wheelhouse with clients is working on budgeting, debt elimination, and savings growth, and then getting them prepared to start on the investment track.
Mhm.
Budgeting for me is always the first step. I look at it as the key in which your financial house is built, right? So
Mhm.
everything stems from the budget. And then once we eliminate debt, we free up some cash, and then
Yeah.
we can start building some wealth. And during that process, those incremental changes occur.
Mhm.
And so it's not always about, hey, I paid off one debt today. I won, right? It's about, I didn't swipe my card today. I used cash instead.
Mhm.
And that's a win. So working with the clients and getting them to understand that there's wins outside of maybe being debt free, or that's the ultimate goal,
Mhm.
but you can enjoy wins along the way before you get to that ultimate win, right?
Yeah.
So, and then when they're experiencing those little wins, that's when the mindset change occurs. That's when they start seeing things differently. That's when they realize what they're doing is going to work, and they start sticking with it.
Yeah, I love that. It's so true. Those are like I think of those as like behavior change goals. So it's like
Hmm.
my big picture goal is I want to be debt free, but when I make that choice, when I hold that big goal, and then when you have that clarity on that big goal, right? You're when you come to those choices of do I want to swipe my credit card or pay debit or cash, or do
Yeah,
I want to make this purchase, or would I rather put that money to pay down debt or to put it into savings or to invest? It makes the little day-to-day behavioral decisions, I think, a little bit easier because you've already done that big picture design of what you want for your life, and I don't know, it helps me frame the choices I'm making day to day, so then I
yeah,
don't feel so overwhelmed, or I don't feel so oblivious, like where I'm like, I'm swiping my card at Starbucks again, you know?
yeah. And I will say, as far as I did say, I was broad based, but I do niche down into people who are resellers,
Mhm.
people who work and start selling on eBay, Poshmark, Amazon, and are
Mhm.
building that side business. And I will work with them to basically figure out if they have the ability to transition from a full-time job to make that their full-time job, and what the
Okay.
steps we could take along the way. It's very similar to the basic budgeting aspects that we'll talk about on the personal side.
Mhm.
It's making sure they're prepared to leave that and start on the other side, but also people who use that as a tool to get out of debt. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people who get into side hustles,
Mhm.
driving for Amazon or delivering groceries. I've done all of it, and so I'm able to walk my clients through that and help them get the best bang for their buck as far as maximizing their return on that, and then applying that to their income and helping them get out of debt faster. So we'll work on those aspects as well.
So would
And
you
it's just,
say
yeah,
Oh, sorry. Is that
no,
kind of your origin? So you said you've done all that. So you've walked that walk, and so it makes it easier for you to take that life
yeah.
experience you've had and help, clients. So is that kinda how you got into this?
So yeah, so basically in 2007, 2008, my wife and I owned a pet sitting business,
Okay.
and we had it for about 20 years until recently with the pandemic. But 2007, 2008, everybody remembers that was the last big financial mess we were in.
Yeah.
And so we did really well the first few years before that, and continued to live well, even though our income was down. And we ended up, uh, not ashamed to say, we were about $370,000 in debt
Wow.
during that time. And so that's when everything crumbled, right? For us personally, cars were going to be repossessed, almost bankrupt. Like I always say, we didn't get bankrupt. We were on the steps of the court, basically, and metaphorically.
Been there. I
Yeah,
feel you.
yeah,
No shame in
and
that. I think a lot of us have been there. So
exactly. And then just needed some sort of like we're doing something wrong here, And I'll take the blame. It was mostly me. Like my wife just was always telling me, "Hey, I think we got to do something different," and it's like, "No, no, we got it. I got it. I got it." So fighting through that process and getting through paying that off, and we could talk a little bit more of that deeper if you want. That's fine with me. But during that process, we use tools like delivery and working for Amazon and delivering groceries and mystery shopping and selling on eBay and Poshmark to increase our income, with the designed goal of paying off debt. So
Mhm.
a lot of people refer to them as side hustles, or side jobs. I always look at it as a goal job. I'm doing this for a specific goal, and
Love that.
for me, that it's just change of words and mind. But for me, it's a different mindset when I'm looking at it as a goal.
Yeah,
Like
well, it makes
I
it
want to
feel
make
more
X amount per
positive.
day, blah 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 blah, and then I get
Mhm.
there. And so that's I like I said, so that's why I've been through all this stuff. I know how to do them all. So I my clients are interested, I can walk them through it and get through those pain points pretty easy.
Yeah, I love that. But what would you say, like, in all of this time that you've been coaching, like, what brings you the most fun or the most pleasure from what you do? Like, what do you love about it?
I think it's when the clients get it. And like I was saying earlier, that part where they get it is just that little win in the beginning.
Mhm.
They understand the process. So I might have a client say, uh, this has happened, call me from the checkout line at the store and they're going to buy a pair of boots. And it's their winter boots and it's summer and they're not on sale. And then I'm saying, when are you going to wear these? Probably in 6 months. Do you need to buy them now at full price?
Right.
Are they in your budget? No. Okay. Just track them when they were on sale. You save up for them, come back and buy them. Sounds great. And they understood the process and they thanked me afterwards for like, oh, I could have made a huge mistake there.
Yeah.
Or I've had a client call me for the first time. They didn't spend on their credit card for Christmas. They spent all cash, so they didn't have any debt from Christmas. It
Mhm.
was the first time in their life, and they were so happy.
Right.
So I was happy. When
Yeah.
it's those little things that give me the fill my cup up, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And I think I was having this conversation with my physical therapy students yesterday about, I think so many times as a physical therapist was the conversation, but I also feel like as a coach as well, and as a parent too, that we want what's best for the people that we serve, right? Our children, our
Hmm.
clients, our patients, our customers, and we want what's best for them, and it's so much easier to see it when it's not your debt or your child or your patient, right? But,
Hmm.
when the person that you're helping or working with isn't ready to change. So, like, we were talking about, we were doing stretching yesterday, and we had a couple guys in the class who said they hate stretching and it's not their thing. And I laughed and yeah, exactly. And I said, mm-hmm. And when we get to the one repetition max lifting strength stuff, I'm going to be like, it ain't my thing. I do
Right.
it. I know I need to. And thank you, Graham, for helping encourage me to stick with that. But I know I need it. And, we all know what we should do, but it's sometimes hard to put it into action. And I think that, when people aren't ready to make that change, you could tell them till you're blue in the face, but when they're sitting in that, like, I'm contemplating whether or not change is necessary, or I'm kind of thinking I should change, but I don't really know that I believe it's possible, or I don't know if I'm really ready, or
Hmm.
this is a good time. But yeah, when they get to that point that, like, they've overcome all those internal objections and they're ready to take action, and then there you are to help, like, encourage them, support them, and then celebrate with them when they have that win. I mean, that's just incredible. And my students were like, well, how do you get them there? I'm like, that's what we're talking about right now. Pay attention. Come back.
One step at
Come
a
back
time.
next week. Today we're talking about what we do when they're ready to stretch. But
Right.
next week we'll talk about the psychology of motivation. So come back, But yeah.
Exactly. And there's a lot of that in financial coaching too. It's the new areas like behavioral finance, right? And money mindset. And you see those words a lot now. And it's really getting to the root cause of why you spend or what your relationship with money really is.
Yes.
And not just you make $5,000 a month, you should spend $4,000 a month. Here's a budget, do it.
Yeah.
But there's a why to it. And
Totally.
understanding the why for a client or even for the coach to client and having that conversation is important. Like, for example, my sessions are about an hour long, right?
Hmm.
And no joke, I'll spend 50 to 55 minutes not talking money with my clients. But money's always the elephant in the room in those
Right.
conversations. And then we can relate back to it. Like, oh, when I was a kid, we used to do this and go here. And then you start picking up little things like, oh, I can see why you are spending the way you're spending on certain aspects because it goes back to this event when you were a kid. And then we talk about that for an hour.
Right.
And I'm not a licensed therapist. I mean, I have a little bit of training in financial therapy and things like that, but nothing where I'm like a certified psychiatrist or psychologist or
Right.
marriage therapist. But there's aspects to it with money. It again, with coaching, you're doing a lot of listening and verbalizations and talking back and then reiterating, and it's about them getting it's about them talking it out themselves, essentially, with you guiding
Yeah.
them along. Like, I
Yeah.
always look at myself as a guide in this situation.
Mhm.
When we're talking about the story of paying off debt or your money story, it's your story. I don't write it. I just guide you along the way. And
Yeah.
you're the hero of your story. So how you want to be the hero, let's I'll walk beside you the whole way. But some people walk fast, some people sprint, some people take their time, but
Yep.
we all get to the end somehow.
That's true. I love that. You're talking my coaching language, and then you're talking my writing language, because I'm always like, it's the same thing. Like, whether it's your personal, your personal life or your relationship, or
Yeah.
writing a chapter or writing your own book. It's you are the author of your story. You are the hero of your story. You get to rewrite that story, and you get to determine the ending, or if there's a sequel, or if you want
Hmm.
to turn the page, or if you want to burn the damn book, burn it down. Feel free.
Right.
Like, it's yours.
Right. Exactly.
And I think
Exactly.
that why factor too, to go back to what you said about how most people call it a side hustle and you like to call it a goal job. I think that's like that language twist, right? Of,
Hmm.
instead of like like being in recovery or being a former this, or and that's where I look at it as like the wellness illness continuum. It's like, well, when you're sick and you do need a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist or a physician or a physical therapist or whatever, but when you get to that middle zone where you're well enough, right? You're not perfect, but you're in that neutral zone, and now you're really ready to work on your fitness or your wellness or your financial growth, and you still need support and encouragement and tools and a guide and all of that. And so I think it's really important for us to realize that it's okay. You don't have to be sick to need help. It's okay we all need help. We were just talking about that before,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so critical.
For sure.
Can I ask you a question? And this is not
Yeah.
on the list, so if you don't
Okay.
want, but I'm just curious. So you said, to go back to kind of how you got into this, right? And you
Yeah.
said, where the situation that you and your wife found yourself in, and you said, well, I'm going to take responsibility for that because she kept saying maybe we should try something different, and you were like, no, we're good, I got it. I'm just curious, like, do you think that that is because, we're in the same age bracket, and, do you think that's a masculine, feminine thing for like, and because I know you also do kind of financial counseling and some marital stuff,
Hmm.
I'm just curious for people if, and I was actually just having a discussion with a friend of mine who happens to be a male in our same age range, but just about like traditional life roles, and that the man as the provider and the man as the money manager, and the little woman as maybe has her budget, right? And maybe but so maybe like blending more of that partnership role. So I'm just curious, like, how you see that, because I also know you work with couples and that stuff. So if you don't want to
Sure.
answer, you can say
Oh,
any of business, but
it's something I actually really haven't thought deep about, but I think that's true. I think there's a traditional aspect to, you know, provider providee
Mhm,
situation. Um, and I think just being in wanting to be in charge of something in the household or wanting
mhm,
to be, like you said, the male figure. I think there's some aspect to that, for sure. But I learned very quickly that my wife's opinion and her feelings and intuition are spot on,
yeah,
and they need to be taken into account, like, for sure. So those conversations went from I'm handling it to what do you think we should do? And then we
mhm.
have a conversation. And actually, what it ended up doing was, at least from my perspective, and my wife might tell you a different story, but from my
There's
perspective,
always different yeah, there's always
I
different perspectives, but
yeah, I think it strengthened our marriage going through
mhm,
this
yeah,
because it allowed me to give up some of what I was perceiving as control
yeah,
that I didn't really want or need, but thought I had to have,
yeah,
and sort of giving it over to her, which she knew she had already. but
Right.
just was being acknowledged that she had it. Because I'll tell this part. When we were going through the process of paying off the debt, okay, so we were 370 in debt, and every night we lived in an apartment complex, and every night I'd hear these trucks coming through. These sounded like tow trucks, and I my car's getting towed tonight. It's getting repoed. I
Mm.
know it's happening, and so I never really got a good night's sleep for a
Yeah.
long time. And one day I'm driving home, and I'm listening to the radio, and I'm flipping the channels, and I'm just trying to just take my mind off everything. And I hear this guy with this southern drawl, and he's like yelling at somebody on the phone. You don't gotta talk to creditors, just hang up on them. They're scum. And I'm like, ooh, who's this guy? Because I've been talking to the creditors and I've been trying to work things out, and I didn't realize that they were scum. And I'm like, yes, sir, yes. So who's this guy? And it turns out it was Dave Ramsey on the
Mhm.
radio. So I come home and I said, talk to my wife. I said, listen, got to listen to this guy on the radio. He's great. He's funny. He's speaking my language. So the next day I come home from work, and she goes, I heard the guy on the radio. Did you know he has a class? He's got 6 books. Oh, by the way, all the books are on the counter, and we signed up for the class. And I was like, we can't, I don't have the money this time. How do we signed up for the class? Just leave it alone. So that's when we went through his Financial Peace University, and that's how we got on our plan and started getting out of debt and working through the process. And once that was done, and our process was, we went through the class, but we were essentially alone in the process of paying everything off.
Yeah.
I, me personally, stepped away from family and friends. I felt ashamed going through this and bringing it out to everybody that everybody thought we were doing great.
Yeah.
To find out that we were this much in the hole, there was a shamefulness to it. So borrowing money from my brother-in-law and having to come every month and paying him a little bit here and there to pay him off, and then borrowing money from my parents, and that changed the relationship between
Mhm.
me and my dad for a really long time. Luckily, he passed recently, but luckily we were able to resolve that in the last few years and get back to where we were. He'll always tell you that, or always would have told you there was nothing there. There's nothing changed, but to me,
Right.
it had
It felt
changed.
yeah, you feel
Yeah,
beholden. I've been there.
exactly. So going through that process and feeling alone, that's when I came out the other side and said, I don't want anybody else to ever feel alone. I
Mhm.
want to be there for somebody, because I didn't know who to call at the time to
Yeah.
help out with financial coaching. It was sort of to me, it was a new industry or a new process. I had no idea. I knew financial planners and advisors, but they invest
For
my
people
money.
who had money.
Yeah, they invest my money. That's the financial advisors. They work on your money's relationship to the market, and
Yeah.
financial coaches work with your relationship with money.
Mhm.
And I needed that. I
Yeah.
thought I knew it all, but I still needed somebody to remind me 17 times. Like my dad would always say, I always told you, spend less than you make. I don't know. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know that. Guess what I'm doing right now? I'm spending less than I make. Oh, see, I told you. Been telling you for years.
It's just unfortunately the relationship of what we can make to the cost of living is a whole lot different for our generation than it was for our parents' generation.
Sure, save for a rainy day. Like your grandma used to say. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm saved crying. Yeah, guess what? I saved. Oh, see, I told you. Yeah. So it's like you had to hear it 17 times from 17 different people before it finally clicked.
Yes, yes.
So
Yeah, and I think and then you have to hear it 17 times from 17 different people, and it's not until I think you hear it for yourself and you
yeah,
recognize like I always say it's like that day that you recognize that you are the barrier to your success and you're just like, "Damn it." But then you're like, "Okay, but if I'm the barrier, I can change me. I can remove me. I have control of me. So I can
yeah.
okay, now I just got to figure out how to do it, you know?"
Yep, you're the cause and the solution to your problems.
Definitely, definitely. And I thank you for answering that question. And
Oh,
I
no problem.
really think that's valuable for people to hear. I 100% agree with that. I'm divorced, but I remember one time when I was married, we were painting the living room it was a two-family house that we rented in Yonkers, and it had was supposed to be painted before we moved in, and the prior tenants hadn't moved out quick enough, so it never got painted. And she had said we could paint it, and I had asked if we could paint. I like colored walls. You can't see. I have a red wall. I have a blue wall. My kitchen's yellow, but neutral behind me here. But so we were debating like how we were going to do it, and it was challenging because we had this green carpet. And I had my idea, and when I asked my ex-husband's opinion, he was like, "I don't care. It doesn't matter. That's a woman's thing, kind of that same masculine, feminine." division
Mhm.
of responsibilities maybe. And yet I was like, "Okay, and you're gonna sit in this room, so I want your opinion. Like, I want you to sit here and like it. And there's just some things I'm not sure of, and I can't decide what I if I like this look or this look. So would you like humor me and like listen to me share this with you?" And I remember at the end of it, like he didn't want to do it, he wasn't interested, but he did do it. And at the end, we came up with like a totally different thing than what the two I originally thought might work. One I liked, one he liked. But when we came together and actually like took what an hour maybe to talk about it, it was that sense of like, I'm not alone and we are in
Mhm.
this together. And now the communication lines are open and you get to use your wife's strengths and you get to use your strengths. And now you're connected and you have a common vision. So you're working together and you have, I feel like for me, everything is a relationship, right? So like within wellness coaching, I look at it as, your relationship to your head, your heart, your mind, your body, your relationship to your finances, time and
Mhm.
energy as your resources. So relationship is like my language. But I feel like that now you have that collaborative relationship with your partner. And it could be a business partner, it could be a collaborative relationship with your child on, where they're going, but where you both have that vested interest and you're choosing to have the conversations, to both
Mhm.
have input that's valued. And it doesn't have to be like concessions where, okay, well, I'll let you do your way this time, but we'll do my way next time. But actually, like that true collaboration, I find you find such a better solution that way, that both
Yeah,
people are actually like happy about and excited about. And it's usually better than the thing you would have done in the first place, either one of you, right?
exactly. So when I'm this actually comes up when we're doing the budget with my clients. So a lot of
Mhm.
times somebody takes control, like you said, maybe it's the husband or the wife who's paying all the bills and the husband has no idea or vice versa. So I always will when we're building the budget out for the first time, like even if they have one, we'll build the one together. And I always make the opposite spouse who's maybe it's
Not
the wife who has
responsible.
not working on it. You're responsible for one category in the budget. So your husband can create the budget and put groceries $500 a month. But if groceries is your category, you're responsible for that category. Change it, update it, fix it, sign off on it 500, whatever. But you have to look at that one category and be responsible
Right.
for it. And then it graduates into two and three, and then having a collaborative talk. But they have skin in the game.
Yeah, definitely.
So they feel involved now in that process.
Love
And at
that.
least they have a sense of what's going on too. So
Yeah.
yeah, and it's important. And you'll see that it starts strengthening because, again, some parties usually the spender or the saver or the vice versa, the nerd or the free spirit, since so they like to sit down and do all the numbers, but the other one's just like, I don't know, whatever they say. No,
No, it's your money, it's your
you have
life.
that
You
meeting,
gotta
you
get
have that
involved.
conversation, and you sign off on it. You both have to sign off on it, but you besides just taking a piece of paper and just signing it and go, you have to be responsible for one category, and
Definitely.
then we'll talk about it next month. How did it go? And were you anxiety about it? Anxious? Did it make changes? Did you not? Were you good? And then we have that conversation, and we got it in two, three, four, like I was saying.
Mhm.
And then they have full ownership over the budget and their money together.
I love that. I'm so glad I asked you, and thank you for answering.
No problem.
So if people wanna work with you, if they love this conversation and they're like, "I need to talk to this guy," kinda what services do you offer, or how can people work with you?
I'm virtual. So I work with people all over the country.
Okay.
Started that before the pandemic, which was great because I know Zoom and Google Meet and all these aspects here and there. Best way to reach me is my website.
Okay.
It's jrfinancialcoaching.com. It's going to be updated soon, but you can still reach me through there.
Okay.
And basically, I'm the same on everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I don't do much with, but I have one there.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check those out.
Gosh, YouTube, podcast. I do a podcast as well. It's called Kill the Noise.
Okay.
And it's basically about just killing that internal noise inside you into success. Stop,
Love it.
stop thinking about things and do it. So I some money stuff on there, and I'm going to be expanding that out to business people and people who are doing careers and how they got there and stuff like that. So it's going to be a pretty cool ride. Um, yeah, so just hit me up everywhere.
And do you mostly do one-on-one coaching, or do you do any group programs, or do you have any like courses that are available to educate people, or what are the
Sure.
options that people can reach for?
So right now it's mostly one on one,
Mhm.
or husband and wife or whatever. Single people welcome. I'm your accountability partner, no problem. So one on one, I am working on some basic course budgeting courses and debt elimination courses that people can go through. Um, of course, the best thing is to work with somebody. I think just initially. So I do have one-off classes you could do with me,
Mhm.
but the best are sessions. Usually, a 6 session package
Mhm.
works the best because if we're working on a budget, let's say it takes a good 2, 3, 4 months for a budget to really start taking shape.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to leave you high and dry because like I said, I never want to be that way. So I
Yeah.
always meet with somebody at least twice a month. We have a
Okay.
really long session and then we have a check-in session where we can kind of course correct the things we talked about.
Mhm.
And then they always have access to email, text, and call me during that month. So you never feel like, hello, like if you're in the checkout line, you don't know if you want to buy those boots or not. Send me a text or a call. And if I don't know, no, hang up. No, don't buy them.
If they're on sale, I buy them any time of year, and if they're fabulous and I love them and I've saved up, I'm buying them. That's my philosophy.
Only if
I'm
it's
a
in the budget.
moderation girl. You know, it's funny. I'm going to close this off with a funny story about boots. Yeah, as long as it's in my budget. Very true.
Yeah, yeah.
So here's this. So I saw these boots. I don't know where I saw them, but when they first came out, they were like $300. You know, women's boots are expensive, leather boots,
Mhm.
right? So, and they were black, but they had like all this embroidery. Oh my God, they have a butterfly on them. I'm gonna have to wear them on launch day. Thank you for reminding me because it is that season. It's boot season here in New York. Um,
Perfect.
I wanted these. I own these boots now. I wanted these boots. I wanted them really bad, but I did not want them for that price. They weren't something I could wear every day. They weren't something they're heels. I don't wear heels every day. They're very distinctive. You couldn't wear them every day, but I wanted them. And I didn't know what I'd wear them with either. I don't dress up that often. So
Mhm.
I made the decision like, no, but keep an eye because maybe when they go on sale, you never know, right? So at one point I see them on sale and they might have been like I don't know, $140 on sale. And even then, I was like, still again, like, if you're talking about a good pair of everyday shoes that I'm going to wear the crud out of for the next 10 years, okay, I'll invest that much. But I was like, again, don't know if I need them. Don't have a holiday or a birthday coming that I could ask for them or whatever. So my mom comes out right after my separation and we are shopping. She's here for it was my first Christmas alone. So my mom and I are running some last minute Christmas errands. They're here for the holidays. And I happened to buy this dress, plain black, long sleeve, like knee length, like just kind of boring dress, but like for 20 bucks on sale. And the dress was like, this is a steal. This is a deal. Little black dress putting in the closet, right? So I'm like, now I'm mad because these boots would have been perfect to like wow up this dress, right? And my mom's like, well, what boots? And I'm like, I never showed you these boots. So I go to look them up and I find them on Poshmark. They were brand new, never been worn. I paid 40 bucks for them. So, and my mom, and literally, like, while I'm looking this picture up and we're going to Starbucks to grab a coffee. My dad gets gift cards from Starbucks from his students. He always hands them to me because he's not a huge coffee drinker or doesn't do Starbucks so much. So, my
Mhm.
mom and I are going in to use up these gift cards. And I'm like, oh my God, they're my size. They're $40. I'm buying them right now. So that is in my budget.
Yes. But it's also that delayed gratification and that wait too.
Yes,
It came to you at the right moment,
that is true.
and that's important too.
Made my day. And
Perfect.
now you just reminded me, and I'm going to wear them on launch day because they have a blue butterfly that like stands up on them. They're crazy
Oh, that's great.
fabulous.
That's great.
I'm gonna be there like lifting my foot up, showing you guys my boots. It's launch day. I'm finally wearing my
Awesome.
fabulous boots that were
That's
in my
awesome.
budget. Thank you, Joey, for validating.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Well, it was so awesome to talk with you, and I will definitely be talking to you more because
Sure.
I have to work on my budgeting and my debt elimination has been pretty good, but yeah, now it's time to build and to create those new habits and keep the ones that are good and change
Mhm.
the ones that, could use some honing. So
Perfect. Yeah, definitely in the new year. Career track wise, like I said earlier, I do all that stuff, but career track wise, I'm moving into financial planning in the new year. So I'll be able to help you with your investments and stuff and
awesome.
saving for retirement. Yay.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, I'm not that old. Yes, I am. Anyway,
No,
okay.
never too young to
It's
think about
never too
retirement.
early. I know, I know. Sadly, sadly. I don't think I'm ever gonna retire though, because I like what I do and I enjoy doing things. So there might be a
Love it.
slowing down, but there will always be a something that I'm creating because I don't know. I don't want to be stagnant. So
No,
we'll see.
it's a good mindset. Age
For
is a
all of
matter
us.
of mind. If you don't mind, it doesn't
Exactly.
matter.
Exactly. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you so much for joining me, and
You're welcome.
definitely can't wait for people to read your chapter. So the book will be out on November 16th. It's coming up. So everybody watching, mark your calendars, grab it, and you can check out Joey's chapter in the book. And if you join us and come back for the Transformation Summit, you will get to hear some more words of wisdom from Joey and your financial success. So thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.